want to talk about this dribble that the Garda Commissioner came out with today. It takes the Garda and there's two more months left. But they're saying that the Irish people, have 89% trust in An Garda Síochána. Now, to be totally honest with you, when I was younger, I did have trust. I actually wanted to be a guard. Would you believe when I was very young, when I was in first class, second class, I wanted to be a guard. They even said when I left secondary school, I could be good as a community guard. They said to me that I could be good as a community guard, working with communities, young people particularly, and they said it could be great doing that. But I never done it because I didn't trust in Garda Síochána. Nor will I ever now, to be totally honest. Over the last year or two, we've seen An Garda Síochána show really pretty much they're against the people. They're not working with the people nowadays. They're working against the people. An Garda Síochána, the whole purpose is community policing. It's policing by consent. Nowadays it's policing by force. Going in and beating up old women and stuff for standing outside the work provision sectors. That's what An Garda Síochána has turned into, bussing people in the middle of the night and pushing people away. And if anybody complains, arrest them for hate speech. And that's what the Garda Síochána has become more worried about, enforcing third crime than enforcing real crime. We see across our county, across our country, literally crimes being committed, burglaries being committed, crimes going unsolved. Garda responses taking 4 or 5 hours before they turn up to any crime. Things not reported, fires not being taken, phone calls not being answered. We could go on. So there's no way in hell that 89% of the Irish public trust in Garda Síochána, because everybody nearly I know doesn't trust the Garda. Even if something happened, they wouldn't ring the guards. There was a person, I told this story before, he had €1,000 worth of a tour stolen on him. He rang An Garda Síochána, and the Garda came out begrudgingly to take the report that it was stolen. And the Garda said, we'll ring you sometime and tell you, we got it or we find it. Or we're still a few years on and no word from that. The Garda just didn't give a shit to look into it. But yeah, I used to have faith in the Garda. I don't now. The Garda have shown their true colours now in the last few years. The public trust in Garda Síochána, this is a load of cod swallow, if I ever heard it. Because if you went onto the street now, say in Dublin City Centre, or even in Cavan Town, for example, we go onto the street and we stop members of the public and ask them, do they have trust in the Garda Síochána? Do they feel safe in Ireland? Do they feel like the Garda are doing a good job making them feel safe on the streets of Ireland? The vast majority of people would say, no, what are you talking about? Are you well? That's what they would say to you. Are you well, saying that to people like An Garda Síochána and trust them? Years ago, they used to be respectable. Years ago, people had trust in the Garda. I still have faith and trust in some members of An Garda Síochána. I still have trust in them because they do have a difficult job. I've seen things that the Garda have seen too that are difficult. It's difficult, road traffic accidents, people dying and going to people's houses in the middle of the night to tell them their loved one never is going to come back. You have to be made of stone, pretty much, to do that. And it's not an easy thing. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the easiest job going. It's not. You deal with some very harsh things coming in reality. You deal with the worst of society, unfortunately. But it's the fact of the matter is nobody trusts in Garda Síochána because the majority of people who get caught, criminals that get caught, they go up the court, they let off it, and the cycle repeats, pretty much. Not to mention, it's a good thing to have body cameras nowadays. I'm not denying that. It's a good thing that they've done. But there's been many instances of a Garda Síochána. So many Gardaí out on discipline grounds in terms of misuse of property, different things, abusing their power, etc., etc. We could write the book on it, unfortunately. But it is a load of cod swallop because how is public trust 89? It'd be more like 40 something maybe or 30 something. But even people, I know older people that live on their own and they're terrified. They shouldn't be terrified in their own house, but they are terrified. They're terrified that somebody could break into their house and rob them or kill them, God knows. And if people trust in Garda Síochána, that shouldn't be the case. That people are terrified to sleep in their own bed at night. And then walk the streets of the country too. People are terrified to go into a local town. Look at Carpin Cross in County Monaghan. No such thing. Where is the Garda? Where's the trust in the Garda there? People are terrified to even walk the main street. There's no such thing as we trust the Gardaí there, because if they trust the Gardaí, if the people did in Carrickman Cross and in Monaghan trust the Gardaí, people would not be terrified at all to walk the streets that they had trust in the Gardaí, because they know that the Gardaí would lock them up, anybody that's a troublemaker lock them up, but that doesn't happen, But it is a lot of codswallop, because nobody trusts them. We've seen in the last few years, as I said in the beginning, the bussing people into the middle of the night, pushing people out of the way, beating up older women, and more worried about third crime than real crime, because they have to deal with real crimes and stuff. Third crime is more easier to enforce. But yeah, the Gardaí have really shown themselves up time and time again. We've seen recently too, the one thing that really vexed me, and it vexed the whole country, there was a guard that gave an elderly man a bicycle that was in the Garda station for years, 50 year worth of a bicycle or something like that. and he was a Garda, and the Gardaí wanted to prosecute him for it because he didn't fill out the right paperwork. Even though we can all, everybody and their mother could see that if the Garda was trying to do a good deed, he should have filled out the paperwork. But the Garda Commission and the state wanted to prosecute this man for doing a good deed, because also when you're a member from Garda Síochána, you're there to serve the public. You're not there. You're there to police, of course, and to protect. But then the other thing, you're there to serve the community. You're there to help elderly people out. You're there to serve the community. Members of the community that need assistance, etc. Elderly people living on their own, bringing them food or whatever, bringing them into the hospital or whatever. That's the Gardaí's job. That's your job as a member from Garda Síochána. Keep us of the peace. But we've seen that what the Gardaí done, what the Garda Commissioner wanted to do to that fellow. Thankfully, he's going to bring a case against the state and against on Garda Síochána. That's rightly so, because literally the man was doing a good deed and they were literally up the wall about it. The Gardaí. It just goes to show you, when somebody in the Gardaí does a good thing, they straight away want to shut that down. But I don't trust the Gardaí nowadays, to be totally honest with you. I wouldn't trust them, to be totally honest. I don't trust them. I have faith in some of the members of An Garda Síochána that they're doing their job the best they can. But I don't have trust in the institution of An Garda Síochána, the Department of Justice. I have no faith in the leadership of An Garda Síochána that they're doing the right thing for the country and the police and people by consent, and they're doing everything by the book. I've no trust in that. We've seen time and time again the Gardaí are untrustworthy. But at the same time too, if anything ever happens, the first thing people would do is ring An Garda Síochána. But it is a tough job, and I'm sure I don't mean to be bashing them, but there's many problems in the Garda Síochána, and this is the biggest load of codswallop you could find, because there is no way. There's just too much wrong in the Garda Síochána. There's too much wrong. It'd be different if the Gardaí was responding. If there's a crime, they're there in 5 minutes. It takes hours for them to turn up to some of the things. And it'd be different if they said there was no burglaries and no crime at all. But you look at Dublin City Centre, people are mortified to go in tourists, they're terrified to come to this country because of the crime rate. If there was trust in the Garda Síochána, people wouldn't be so fearful to go out. They would trust that the Gardaí can keep the streets safe. That's not there. So I don't know where they pull this figure out of, but they have to pull it back. Because we need some really, either to have a photo or something on it, but there's no way, there's no way. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. But I know I'm being face harsh, but I will say that the Gardaí, again, the only man and woman in Garda Síochána are only doing their job. I understand that, but it's the institution of the Gardaí has become rotten, and it is rotten. It's rotten to the core. I'm not blaming the only person who's walking the beat and stuff. They're doing their best. They're understaffed, under-equipped, the whole West, which told it all before. But I'm blaming the people, the Garda Commissioner. He's been a terrible Garda Commissioner, Drew Harris. I don't know how he ever got the job. There's questions how he got the job too with MI6 and MI5. And then obviously there's probably going to be a Garda Commissioner that's not from the Irish state. It doesn't make much sense, but through logic. But, there's many other things I could say. But I do have faith. I've seen difficult things, as I referenced earlier on. I've seen difficult things that the Gardaí had to do and stuff. Accidents, people died, and young people particularly. A few instances come to mind where there was very young Gardaí just out of Tabermore coming across horrific accidents, but people dead. You couldn't really ever get over that, and I do feel sorry for them guards, because it's something that you never could leave at the door. It's something that would stay with you for the rest of your life. And, I think anybody would have respect for a person who has to see something like that. And then go to people's houses in the middle of the night to tell them their loved ones not coming. It just, there's no worse job to have to go and do that. But in terms of day-to-day policing, that's the problem. The only members from Garda, the majority of them are people that want to do good and want to try and make a difference in the community, make a difference in society. But it's the people at the top that's holding the back. They are gone beans. Let's put it that way. And the whole system that was designed in the 1920s, policing by consent, keepers of the peace, is all gone out the window. Unfortunately nowadays, it's gone out the window a few years ago, but it's definitely gone out the window nowadays. But yeah, I don't believe this. I don't believe you. So let me know what you think. Subscribe for more. Do you have faith in the Gardaí? Let me know.